we left on break, sorry, I'm just gonna grab a cough drop here, is I said after break we're going to add a function to our object. So, that's scary. I'm going to pare down our object a little bit here. Keep these things. We're going to add a function. When we add a function to an object, the name of that is called a method. So when we have a function on an object, it's called a method. We've been using methods. We were using array methods. Array methods are functions on the array object. And they look like this. Key, regular old key, function. And then whatever the function needs to do. Why would we put a function on an object? Well, because we want to encapsulate all the information, everything that that object needs to do. So if user is a user and we want maybe the user to get older, then it would make sense that the user knows how to age themselves, right? Things that belong to this object would go on this object. I'm going to get you to create an object later for a dice in our exercises. Just like the dice that we use for the exercise from a couple days ago, from our assignment, right? You just had a dice, and then you had dice 1 total, dice 2 total. Now you don't have to worry about dice 1 total, dice 2 total. You're going to make an object to represent a dice. That object will have a function called roll, and roll will set some values. So this get older function, check out the syntax, no different, key is the same, value is just a function.
Can you use arrow to write that function? No.
Yeah. Arrow function works too. Okay. And what goes in here? Whatever we want. What do you think get older does?
Accumulates every year.
Increases their age. So user.age++. So now out here I can say user dot get older. How old are they now? 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. The user is tracking. The awesome part about objects is it can represent something real, and it allows us to group things together into one piece of information. So this user is tracking its own age. I don't have to have something called user age, const user age equals 17. Or const user 1 age, const user 2 age. Const user 1 name. If I had 1,000 users, you can see this getting out of control. And so we're able to put all these things together into an object that represents a user. Name, age, skills, blah, blah, blah. And they can also have things like arrays have methods. Arrays have methods because those methods are specific to arrays. So we put them on the array object. And so that's where they exist. That's why this function would exist here instead of just like floating out in the open. It's specific to aging a user. So it makes sense that the user knows how to age. Or maybe the user says hello. Right? User.name, because that's how I access name. User.age, because that's how I access age. Be it inside the object or outside the object. And now, the user knows how to say hello. Oh. Dot notation. I didn't have to console log this because it's already console logging. Okay. Objects are very similar to arrays. When you compare two objects, two objects are not the same unless they are the same object. Okay, these look the same, but they're not the same object. There are two laptops that look identical, but they're not the same laptop. There are two cars, two black Honda Civics, but that Honda Civic and that Honda Civic parked down there, they're not the same Honda Civic, right? But they look the same, but they're not the same. They're only the same when I say that black Honda Civic, that black car, which is that Honda Civic. Now they're the same. Okay, so const A equals math, empty object, const B equals A equals B. Now they're the same. Because they literally are both pointing at this object. Let's look at a more complicated object. Student object. Students have a name. Students have a program. They're in a module or course. Are they an alumni? Well, if you're still here and you're in this course, you're not an alumni. And you have some projects, which is an array, because there's multiple projects. And this is your grade for these projects that you've received. Match them up. String, let's say null. You haven't done that one yet. Oh, this needs to be an object. Projects is an object. What do you want to do? Okay. Match them up. concentration, that one's coming up too. No, haven't scored anything. And then what was the last one you did? The single page website, the CAT website. And Mindy got 67%. Okay, here's a more complicated one.
What if you wanted to print a dollar amount? Would you have to put that in string?
A dollar amount?
Like in order to include the
The dollar sign?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd have to, so. The cost for the course, I don't know if that's how much it is, I'm just making that. And let's say we want to print that out. So it'd be console.log, dollar sign, student dot cost.
Okay.
The first dollar sign is this one. The second dollar sign is the special syntax you need to go into JavaScript.
How do you get it to print the second zero?
Did it not print it?
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Otherwise it chops it off.
Okay.
Yeah. Trying to be helpful, but it's not. Okay, more complicated object and an object, but you can see why you might want to put an object in an object, because it kind of helps make sense out of it. And maybe she has awards. The MacGyver Award. The Student of the Year Award. And which is just an array of awards, right? So that's why we might have an array. I don't know how to spell it.
Without the
MacGyver. McG. There. Right. So we have a more complicated object, and that's okay. We can have arrays of objects too. Right? Which we've seen, an array of objects. So this could be users. And then we have a user, another user, another user. They don't have to have a name. We don't have to put them in a variable. Just like we don't have to put arrays in a variable. We don't have to put numbers in a variable. We could just put the number right here. We can just put the string right here. We can just put the object right here. We can just put an array of arrays. We don't have to put it inside inside of a variable. A variable is just a container. An object is just a data type. Okay? So let me ask you a couple questions. One of the challenges of using objects is identifying when to use an object and when to use an array. Right? Because they're very similar. They're collections. One is a collection of key value pairs. The other is a collection of values. When do we use them? So, array or object? If I'm compiling a list of all the students in class, am I going to use an object or am I going to use an array? All the students in the class.
just names.
Good question. Nah. Okay, if I was just doing names,
Then
the names of all the students in the class.
Array.
How about multiple attributes of all the students in the class?
Object. Object and array.
Say that louder.
Object and array together.
An array of objects, right? Students, student 1, student 2, student 3, each student has a name, each student has a ID number, right? Each student has multiple pieces of information, so an array of objects. How about a single student? It's just an object. List of states and their capitals.
Array of objects.
Can be array.
Can be.
Just one object.
Just one object.
Just one object. Right? I'm trying to think of states and their capitals. States are really weird. New York.
New York.
New York.
New York isn't the capital of New York.
Probably not.
It is. New York City.
Washington.
It's in a different state. Washington?
Yeah.
It's Pennsylvania.
What's the capital of
Washington, Seattle.
What's that?
Washington.
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 DC.
No,
Albany.
Seattle.
Albany is
Seattle.
the capital of New York.
Washington State is Seattle is the capital.
Yeah.
What is Washington D.C. the capital of anything?
Pennsylvania? Or Maryland? No, Maryland.
No. See, yeah.
Okay.
This is a
Why
dumb
are we
game.
doing American?
I know, right? I don't know why. I don't know why I put that.
New York
Because
is
it's tough
Albany.
geography.
Albany, New
Okay,
York.
but you get it. One object. Okay. Represent. Didn't like not assigning it to anything. Okay. List of things to pack for vacation.
One object.
Hmm?
Array.
Array.
An array.
Depends on what what kind of packer you are.
How many
Yeah,
suitcases you're
Yes.
Shampoo. I don't need shampoo. All I need is soap. And actually, I don't need that because they have that in the hotel. Clothes. There we go. Done packing.
There's only one thing, money.
Wow.
I know. I pack light. Okay. An array. Names of all the Instagram accounts that I follow.
Array.
An array. List of scholar names and the schools that they attend.
Object.
Object. Right? Much in the same way. School name, or name, school they attend. Ingredient and amount of each ingredient to bake a cake.
Object.
Object. Key, ingredient, amount, value. All of my favorite restaurants.
Array.
All right. Yeah. Did we get everything?
That was really helpful.
That was what?
I really did hope.
Okay. So, exercises. We're gonna exercise. Exercise 9. Create an object. Super easy. Here's some information. Create an object that contains the information that you decipher. What is the name? What is the price? What are the ingredients of a breakfast? Question 1. Create a JavaScript object that represents you. First name, last name, activity, and a function, a method called full name that will output your full name by concatenating your first name and your last name. Question 2. Write a JavaScript object that represents a dog. Age, breed, color. Your dog should also have a Boolean property of is walking. Either the dog is walking or the dog is not walking. But we also have a method that can make the dog walk. Okay? And if I call that method, the dog will flip its walking state, right? If the dog is not walking, i.e. sitting, and I say, walk! Sorry. I say, please, walk. Okay? Then, I know,
Why did everyone have to
Wait
lie
till
today?
wait till you see how I discipline my daughter. And they say walk. It flips because now the dog is starting to walk. So that Boolean is walking, that state that was false before now becomes true. So you're going to write a function that does that. You're also going to write a function that makes the dog bark. Console.log woof woof. Question 3. I give you a chunk of code. And I say, add a new function. And 2, explain what these other functions are doing. Don't write them, explain them to me. Decipher someone else's code. Question 4. Create an object called Facebook profile. The object should have 3 properties: name, friends, and messages. Name, your name, friends. What do you think, what sort of data type would friends be?
School, work.
Well, it could be an array of people. It could be an array of objects, each object representing a friend. It could be, right, it could be a variety of things, but I want you to be thoughtful about it. We might not have the same design. An array of messages, or sorry, the number of friends you have. Sorry, that's I'm giving you the answer. The number of friends, so just however many friends. And an array of messages you posted as strings. Just make up a couple. The object should also have 4 methods. Post message adds a new message to your list of messages. Just like I increased the age of my object, my user object. Delete message. Remove the message corresponding to the index provided. Add friend increases the friend count. Remove friend decreases the friend count. That sounds like fun. Q5. Create an array of book objects where each book object has the following properties: title, author, and a property already read. Did you already read it? Loop through that array and print out if you've read it or not. So you're just going to create an array of books, read or not read, maybe books that you want to read, and you're just going to print them out whether or not you read them or didn't read them. Here's an array of donut objects. Iterate over this array of objects, printing out this sentence for each one. Oh, that's why you asked about the dollar sign.
No, I asked what doors and
Okay, Q7 and Q8 are fun and tough. Okay, this is Q7 and Q8 are the advanced questions. Okay. If you're done, some of you are going to get to these super fast. Some of you won't be able to complete these. Here's a 2D array. You need to figure out how much this order will cost a customer. Write a function which accepts a 2D array that's similar to this, and that will show the order and output the cost. So you have your data, you have the information. You know how much 1 milk costs. 1 milk costs 40 cents. They're ordering 4 milk. Write a function that takes in the array, looks up the menu item, calculates the cost. Number 8, your task is to remove all consecutive duplicate words from a string, leaving only the first word entry. So if I have alpha, beta, beta, gamma, beta, beta is a consecutive word. Beta, beta. So I want to take one away. So it should go alpha, beta, gamma. Word, this is string play. Word play. Okay? This will help you tremendously with your assignment. Managing strings, managing words will help you tremendously with your assignment. It's not super hard. There is some thinking required though. This is not, these two are not syntax as much as they are problem solving. These ones are more about Q1 to Q6, Q0 to Q6 are more about syntax than problem solving. Q7 and Q8 are more about problem solving than syntax. Heavier on the problem solving. Okay, hopefully by the time you get there, you'll have your syntax nailed. Question.